So now with the NFL preseason about halfway through, we start to get a sense of what we could expect to see in the upcoming 2017 regular season. And one of the major topics is going to be what rookie quarterbacks could start or should start for the respective teams come this season. So I wanted to take a few minutes and kind of throw my head into the ring and give my thoughts on it and break down some of the most notable rookie quarterbacks from this year's draft class and talk about either their chances to start this year or whether or not they should start this year, why or why not. So let me go ahead and get started. And first, I'll go to Davis Webb and Joshua Dobbs. Webb was a third-round pick by the New York Giants. Dobbs, a fifth-round selection, I believe, by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both of these guys are in a situation where you have established multiple-time Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, barring injury, and even in injury maybe in these cases, they should sit all year. Because you're talking about teams that could be contenders, teams that are in a serious spot, rookie quarterbacks that are quite a ways away from really truly being NFL ready. The best thing in these guys' case, it seems like they could do, is sit and watch and learn. And they're in a great situation because they have no urgency to have to play. There's going to be no pressure on them. And it makes sense. So Davis Webb, Joshua Dobbs, if either one of them plays a lick this year other than in garbage time, then it's due to an injury or something, and that's a really bad deal for both of those organizations. But let's move on to some of the other more notable rookie quarterbacks who might actually have a chance to see the field this year. I'm going to start with my Chicago Bears and Mitchell Trubisky. The Bears traded up to get him at number 2 overall. He's competing right now against Mike Glennon, even though it seems like the organization is determined to stack the deck against Mitchell Trubisky being able to be a week 1 starter. Maybe there's some panic about the opening first quarter of the season being really tough on the Bears' schedule and not wanting to throw Trubisky to the Lions' den, to the Wolves, whatever you want to say right away. But to me, here's what I say. The whole notion that he has to start just because you took him number 2 overall is crap. Conversely, the whole notion that because he started so little in college and in no way, shape, or form because it's your plan in your ideal situation, will he play at all in 2017 no matter what, is also complete and total crap. If Glennon legitimately wins the quarterback competition and gives the Bears the best chance to win, then he should be the starter week 1 and for the season, at least until the Bears are mathematically eliminated from the playoff race. Period. But if it's close, or if Trubisky is neck and neck with him, then Mitchell Trubisky must be the Bears' week 1 starter, period. Because there is nowhere you could potentially go but up in that particular case, where Glennon is the giraffe neck that he already is, and he's not going to get a whole lot better. And ultimately, you've invested so much in Trubisky, and general manager Ryan Pace ultimately has invested his job in him, most importantly, that you get to a point in time where you have an organization that really needs a boost, that really needs a lift. And if Trubisky is going to be the guy to bring that lift, then that's where you need to go. I really feel like John Fox is going to stubbornly dig in his heels and start Mike Glennon at least week 1 based off of what I've seen so far. But it wouldn't surprise me by week 6 if Trubisky is the starter, and by that point in time, he probably should be the starter. If he sits the entire year, even if the Bears are somewhat successful, then I think it's a lost, wasted season because nothing I've seen in the preseason so far that indicates Glennon is so far vastly superior that he should be playing and Trubisky is not. Then you look at the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and he's in a situation where you've got an established veteran game manager type quarterback in Alex Smith. Mahomes is a raw gunslinger with a huge arm that someday is going to take that mantle of being the Chiefs starting quarterback away from Alex Smith, and maybe for some Chiefs fans it can't happen soon enough. And maybe it does happen this year. But Andy Reid and the Chiefs are in a situation where it doesn't have to happen right now, and it's okay if it doesn't happen right now. The only way I really see Mahomes really getting a shot to be a starter would come late in the season, either A, due to an Alex Smith injury, or B, you've reached a point where you can clearly point to games where a quarterback with a bigger arm could have won that game and Alex Smith just couldn't make that throw and you lost it because he couldn't make that throw. Now maybe that comes because you want to utilize Tyreek Hill in a bigger fashion and Smith just doesn't have an arm to do so and Mahomes does. I would anticipate Mahomes to be the starter week 1 of the 2018 season, expecting him to start at any point in time in 2017 by design, I think is a big stretch. I think it's much less of a stretch for Deshaun Watson to be a starter for the Houston Texans, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not they go with him to open the season. I don't think they're going to, and I think that's kind of a mistake. You did what you did. You traded up. You got this kid. Part of the reason you traded up and got this kid is because you felt that Todd Savage wasn't the answer. And I don't see where even in the preseason, even if you like some of what you saw out of Savage, that he's so vastly superior to Watson that you've been impressed so much to where you can bump off starting Deshaun Watson. You know what you have in Savage. And again, I mind you, that's why you traded up and got Deshaun Watson. There's a reason you did that. Because you wanted him, because you didn't feel like you had the answer on your roster. And Deshaun Watson, at college at least, was a proven winner. He's a leader. He's so many things. And while he has some physical limitations, he is the type of guy that you could put into that type of situation that maybe could make some big plays that helps take that Texans team to another level. Personally, I would start Deshaun Watson week 1 if I was the Texans. I don't think they're going to, and I feel like it's a mistake. And I don't feel like it's going to be very long before he would see the field. By halfway through the season, you're going to have a big brewing quarterback controversy, and then you're going to have no choice, and now you've potentially created a chasm in the locker room that was unnecessary. The DeShone Kizer situation for the Cleveland Browns is interesting because you've got Brock Osweiler there that you're paying a lot of money to. You've got Cody Kessler there, who started several games last year. But to me, DeShone Kizer, when looking at Brock Osweiler, you know Brock Osweiler is just there to fill some salary cap and take a roster spot. He is not your long-term answer. What you need to find out, if you're the Cleveland Browns, is if DeShone Kizer is your answer. And you are not going to find that out by putting him on the bench. Even if you feel like he's not 100% prepared, even if you feel like he's not 100% ready, and he probably isn't. Sometimes no matter how prepared you are, no matter how ready you are, you're not ready, until you're given the opportunity and you play and you figure it out. And the fact is, the Browns are still not going to be a very good team this year. I would much rather devote 2017 to finding out if I've got something in DeShone Kizer, if he can be the answer or not, because I'm going to be turning right around as the Cleveland Browns in 2018 with 2 picks in the first round that could potentially be 2 marquee picks, or at least their own marquee pick, and then wherever Houston's pick ends up being. I need to find out, because I need to find out if I've got to go into the 2018 draft and explore making a move to get a Sam Darnold or a Josh Allen or somebody like that. But if DeShone Kizer could show you something and he can establish that you've got a future here and he can be your franchise quarterback, then there's no need to have to go into the 2018 draft and potentially draft one of those guys, because you could be potentially wasting a pick. And I'm not saying Kizer is the answer, but I'm also not saying he isn't the answer. The point is, the only way the Cleveland Browns are going to find out, and what will surely shape up to be another loss season in terms of win-loss record, is to play Kizer week 1, stick with him unless he gets hurt, and find out what he's got. You know Osweiler's not the answer. You know Kessler's not the answer. You need to find out if DeShone Kizer is the answer. And a smart organization, I'm talking about the skin marks here, but a smart organization would find an excuse to start DeShone Kizer week 1. You got to give him a 16-game audition, because you can't sit there and wait until the last quarter of the season and have 3 or 4 games and maybe get a blip on the radar that Kaiser's great, and then you don't draft a quarterback and then he sucks the next year because you didn't give enough window of time to see what he could do. Or you don't play him at all, and then you really wonder, and then you just basically burned a second-round pick on a backup because you're still going to have to take this guy high, whether it's Darnold or whether it's Josh Allen. Kizer needs to start. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks, to me, the one that I'm most adamant about based off of the situation, the organization, and the competition has to start week 1 is DeShone Kizer. And I think the Browns are foolish if they start Brock Osweiler week 1. That's just me. 2 other guys that were drafted a little bit later, C.J. Beathard in the later portion of round 3 by the 49ers, and Nathan Peterman in the 5th round by the Buffalo Bills, I think are guys that could sneak up and get some opportunities, get some ticks, and get a chance to start this year. I don't think either one of them are ready yet. I don't think either one of them should start as the team's quarterback to start the season, and they won't. But if you're the 49ers, again, you did invest a 3rd-round pick on C.J. Beathard. Head coach Kyle Shanahan clearly likes something in the kid. You need to find out what you have, whether you have a solid backup or potentially an average or above-average starter. Same thing with Peterman in the Bills. How long do you go with Tyrod Taylor before you get to a point and say, hey, maybe Peterman could bring us something different to this offense? So when all is said and done, I expect Trubisky to start at least half, if not 3/4 of the season for the Bears. I expect Watson to start potentially at least half of the season, if not 3/4 of the season. I don't expect Mahomes to start much, if at all, unless there's an injury or unless it becomes so clearly evident to Andy Reid that he has to make a move. I expect DeShone Kizer to not start week 1, and I think that's a massive mistake, and it won't take long for him to get the reins. Beathard, Peterman, I would expect at some point in time in the year, as their team gets eliminated potentially from the playoff race, that they're going to get a few looks and get a few chances here. It wasn't a great quarterback class to me, but the ironic thing is, for these guys in the opportunities that they're in, there are several of them will get a chance, I believe, in 2017 to show what they're worth.